All right, well, welcome to the channel, everybody. Today's weather is okay for flying, but I'm on call and can't fly the real airplane, so I'm going to try my hand at this virtual stuff. So I've been using Microsoft Flight Sim since, longer than I'd like to admit, but this is Microsoft Flight Simulator X Steam Edition with some mods. I have not upgraded to 2020 or 2024. I want to, but I need to upgrade my computer so it'll handle it. But I always find myself investing in the real aircraft instead of the virtual one, but maybe this winter I'll do something with that. So we are at Brigham City Regional Airport, and we're going to jump in the 152, and we're going to head to Malad, Idaho, which is one of my favorite flights to do in the real aircraft. So all of our exterior pre-flights are done. We're going to jump into the before start engine checklist. So pre-flight is complete. Passengers are briefed. It's just me in the aircraft today and you joining virtually. Seats and seatbelts are correct. I'm going to raise the seat up in this plane, even though you can't do that in real life. I'll raise my view up so I could see the top of the cowl like I usually can in real life. We're going to go through the rest here. We've got doors and windows are closed and latched, both sides. We've got brakes are set, parking brakes are on, circuit breakers are all in here, it looks like. Good. Fuel selector valve is on, and electrical equipment is off. Fuel selector is on, as I said, and we are ready for startup, so we're going to make sure our rich mixture is full rich. We're going to go ahead and we'd normally prime this engine, and so we'll go ahead and I'm going to let it do an auto start sequence because it seems to work better in this airplane. Okay, we're going to set my RPM for 1,000, let it sit and warm up a little bit. I'll bring the mixture back about 1 inch, and that's where I usually start at the altitude for this airport. So while that's running and warming up, take a quick glance at our oil pressure, which is low like it usually is here on startup in the 150, 152 until our RPMs come up. Oil temperature is only 100 degrees. At least it's 100 degrees because it's not 100 degrees outside today. So it must have been in a heated hangar or we preheated. There we go. So I'll let that warm up just a little bit as we continue to kind of go through the rest of our checks. So we'll go ahead and grab our AWOS information here at Brigham City.
Kilo Bravo, Mike Charlie, automated weather observation 2250 Zulu, wind 307 at 4, visibility greater than 20 miles, sky condition 7,000 scattered, temperature 4 Celsius,
Altimeter 2989. Okay, we're there. Winds are 307 at 4, so we'll use runway 35 today. And we'll be taking off tiny little bit of crosswind, but not enough to even do anything because at 4 miles an hour it's considered calm winds. All right, so we'll go through the rest of our checklist here. We've got our engine started, so we will go ahead and get our beacon is on, nav light's on. We don't need our landing light right now. We'll switch our transponder to altitude mode. Radios are set. We're not using the VOR today. Just going to use dead reckoning to get there. And we've got our altimeter set. Brakes feel good. We're ready to taxi. So we'll taxi down to runway 35 and do our run up down in the run up area. One thing I've noticed about the Flight Sim rudder controls, at least in this one, is they're way more sensitive than the real airplane. So when I taxi, I kind of tend to be a little bit all over the place. But I guess it's good practice. So, but it is very different from the real thing. Cessna 150 tends to track really nicely down the runway and down the taxiways. Doesn't need a whole lot of correction one way or another usually. And if it does, it's just pretty minor. So. Brigham area traffic, Cessna 474 will be taxiing Alpha to the run-up area at 35 Brigham. So we'll go down here and we'll do our engine run-up and our pre-flight checks. Finish those, and then we will be ready to head up to Malad, Idaho. Go get us a Mega Millions lottery ticket since it's hasn't been one, and it's up to some crazy number. All right, we'll face into the wind here, finish our run up. Whoops, a little bit more. There we go. Okay, I'll set the parking brake, even though in the real airplane the parking brake doesn't work all that great. And we'll start with control. So left aileron up, down, right, down, up, down. In the back, elevator up, down, rudder left, rudder right. Trim is set for takeoff. I'm gonna bump it down just a little bit because in this airplane it tends to want to fly a little bit nose up. Okay, we'll look at our instruments here. We'll look at our airspeed as we start to roll down the runway, make sure that's working. Attitude indicator looks like it's spun up. Altimeter set. We're not using the VOR. Radios are set. RPM looks good right now. Our ammeter's showing a 0, which is good. It's neutral. We're not going to be using the ADF. VSI will check. We're set to the correct heading. We'll look at that compared to the compass. Yep, we are correct. And I'll watch the turn coordinator move as I was taxiing, so I know that one was good. And fuel selector is on, so we are ready for engine run up. So we're going to advance the throttle up to 1700 RPM. I'm going to lean the mixture out, set it for elevation, field elevation, until I see a drop, which I just saw, and then I bump it back up a little bit, richen it. Now I'll come down and we'll turn off one set of mags. We see a drop, nice clean drop. We'll go back to both, let it stabilize, go down the other set of mags, turn them off. Got a nice clean drop. We have less than 50 between those two. Mag checks are good. We're going to turn our carb heat on. It is cold outside and there is humidity in the air, and the temperature and dew point are close, so we got to watch for a few things. One of those is carburetor ice, which is not a great thing to have. Your RPMs will drop and it can make your engine quit, so we'll watch for that as we're flying. I let that run for a minute, make sure there's no carb ice built up in there. Then we drop this down to the throttle down to idle. Engine continues to run idle with carb heat on, which is great. Back to 1000 RPM, turn carb heat off. Okay, engine run up is complete. Look at the checklist here. All right, we are through all of our engine run ups. Radios, avionics are set. Flaps are set for takeoff. We are ready to taxi over to 3.5 and get going. Don't see anybody else in the pattern. I haven't heard anybody. Make sure that we're over on our frequency here, which we are. I'll just do this just for the heck of it. I like to make my own radio calls usually in the flight sim. I've used VATSIM or whatever it is, but unfortunately in our area there usually isn't anybody on as ATC. I've only had like 2 or 3 times when I've been able to do that. And I don't think FlightSim X is compatible with some of the new ATC stuff that's come out. So anyways, we'll get over here to 3.5 and hold short. I'll just make that radio call. Brigham area traffic, Cessna 474, holding short runway 3.5, Brigham. Okay, I'll do the last minute checks. Doors and windows are secure, seats are secured. We've got our instruments are all good. Engine pressure is, it's low, but I've got to get my RPMs up. That'll help. And engine temperature's still climbing, but it's at the bottom of the green. And it's a virtual airplane, so we'll go ahead and take off. Fuel levels are indicating good. Trim is set for takeoff. Flaps are set for takeoff. We don't see anybody else on approach. Don't hear anybody on the radio, which doesn't necessarily mean anything because I don't have to at this airport. And the runway is clear, so we'll go ahead and taxi on out. We'll turn on our landing light, and we'll head up to Malad, Idaho. Brigham City traffic, Cessna 474, taking runway 35 north departure, Brigham. And this is where you're going to see me all over the place with these rudder pedals, because I have a really hard time in the sim. I promise I don't fly like that in the real airplane. My wife would not ride with me. Okay, go ahead and advance the throttle here. Our PMs are good, engine pressure and temp look good. Whoop, back on center line, back on center line. Watching for 55, there's 55. We'll rotate, woo, we'll rotate. And we'll try and track the center line of the runway here. Easiest way I find in flight sim, because you usually can't see the end of the runway, your nose attitude up like that is your pitch attitude. I just watch my heading indicator, try and hold 3.5 on my heading indicator, and then I pick a visual reference point out ahead of me. So like up here, I'm kind of watching this ridge line where this cloud comes down, and that's actually what I'm kind of tracking visually outside, and I just kind of stay pointed at that. So we're going to continue this climb up here till we have 500 feet AGL, which are coming up on that now. And then I'll lower the nose down, we'll make sure everything's looking good. Check out in front of us, but I don't see anybody. Oil temp looks great, oil pressure looks good. We're going to continue the climb. And I'm going to turn over to the west just a little bit, so follow the freeway. And we'll continue this climb up to 6,500 or 6,000, somewhere in there. We'll see how we feel. And we'll just cruise on up to Malad. So it did just snow recently, and the sim is modeling that, which is pretty cool. Kind of a late evening, early winter flight here. So is there anybody else out there using Microsoft Flight Sim X still, or has everybody moved on but me? Am I the last holdout? Or are there others who are still envious when they see videos online of what Microsoft Flight Sim 2020 looked like, let alone 2024, even with the rollout issues? But anyways, let me know in the comments if you're another Flight Sim X holdout on Steam like me. You say I'd rather spend my money on the real aircraft, so I tend to invest in that when I think of upgrading my computer and my systems and everything. And I look at that and I'm like, oh man, that's like, you know, a couple $1,000s to get the setup that I'd like to have. I can put some fun stuff in the aircraft for that. So, and then I could go places for real. Anyways, hey, we'll catch you when we get up to Malad, and pick this video up as we approach Malad City. Thanks for joining us. Welcome back. So we're at our cruise altitude. We're just trying to maintain about 6,000. I decided instead of going all the way to 6,500 today, we just level out here about 6 and enjoy a nice ride up to Malad, Idaho. That is the city of Tremonton off our left wing, Tremonton, Utah. Nice snow-covered mountains to see, fly by. Alright, so I'll catch you up at Malad, Idaho. It's about a 20-minute flight. See you up there. Alright, welcome back. So we're on the 45 entry to the left downwind for runway 35 in Malad, Idaho. We'll go ahead and make that call. Malad area traffic, Cessna 474 is established on 45 entry left downwind for runway 35. We'll be full stop, Malad. Alright, so we gotta lose a whole bunch of altitude here. So we are coming into the white arc for our flap range. Mixture is rich. We'll make sure our landing light is on. And then we are gonna, I'm gonna try and slow us down just a little bit here, and we're gonna, whoa, Sure what's going on with that. That was interesting. Yeah, we'll drop 10 degrees of flaps in. Nobody else in the pattern up here tonight. Get down to about 5,000 feet, pattern altitude. It's 400 feet to go. Getting really slow. Push that nose down. Don't want to get that slow in the pattern here. 70's okay, but usually like 80 on the downwind. Malad area traffic, Cessna 474 is left downwind for runway 35. Full stop, Malad. Just kind of hold this. Got a couple hundred feet we can lose here yet. Tracking 1.7 to make sure that we're not pinching in on the runway. Now we go ahead and turn base. Ooh. Malad area traffic, Cessna 474's left base for runway 35, full stop, Malad. We'll use our heading indicator to kind of help us out here with that turn. So we square it. Now we got to finish our turn, roll the final. Malad area traffic, Cessna 474. Turning final, runway 35, full stop, Malad. And we overshot. This is where pilots get into trouble, but in the sim, not so much. We'll just bring it back this way without making that bank too crazy. And I'm okay with that. Okay, runway is made. We're going to go ahead and drop in another 10 degrees of flaps, 30 degrees of flaps. Not super happy with this approach. We'll make it work in the sim. Get back over on center line here. Gonna have to brake, catch our exit. Well, that was an interesting approach and landing into Malad, Idaho in Microsoft Flight Simulator X. I find it much easier to do in the real airplane. It's funny, after you fly real airplanes for a while and then you jump in like this simulator, it's actually somewhat more difficult in some ways than flying the real aircraft. So we'll taxi over here to parking. Let me make a radio call. Malad area traffic, Cessna 474 is clear runway 35. Taxi to the fuel pumps, Malad, Idaho. Alright, well, we'll just cruise over here and we'll find the fuel pump. I think it's simulated on here. I don't remember, actually. Let's go up here and find out. It's a really tall hangar. Interesting. Well, there's a fuel pump. No, this airport's not modeled correctly, but I haven't messed with fixing this one, so it is what it is. But hey, we're here. There's the fuel pumps. We'll taxi up here and we'll stop. And it'll magically fill the fuel tanks, which we don't really want or need, but that's okay. Well, thanks for joining me on this flight in the Cessna 152 up to Malad, Idaho from Brigham City, Utah. Everybody stay safe. Happy flying. We'll catch you next time.